Well, y'all, the time is come. Let's get our boots and head out. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the homestead. Ooh. Don't forget now to go check out the DRYCODE boots. We've got the link down below in the description, and you guys get 30% off. Whatever you order, no matter how many times, check them out. Use the code Boots and Bounty all together as I have it written down in the description. So, let's get to this video. It has been 2 months in the making. If you caught my last video, you will see we went from tank tops to shorts to rain and freezing temperatures, and then back in jackets and back in tank tops, back in jackets. It was just an insane roller coaster going on the last 2 months. But we finally got it, I say done-ish, because we haven't actually gotten it all wood chipped and mulched in the walkways. But it has taken so long. You've seen we started wood chipping our own trees and limbs in the last video. I showed you a clip of that, but it's taking forever. And I told Steven if I didn't hurry up and get this garden tour done, I was going to be harvesting food before I even showed you guys the garden. So it's finally done. Here it is. Let's go check it out. I will put a before picture in here to show you guys what it looks like. And then here is the after. Let's take a walk along the front, check it out. Hello, birdies. All right, let's go inside and check it out. Y'all come on in, check the garden out. Okay, so we're gonna first start with the garden beds. Let me walk you through everything we have set up, kind of everything where I have it placed and what the plans are for certain areas. We're gonna start in the farthest back corner and work our way out, I guess you could say, okay? Okay, so the first beds that we put in, you guys seen us do these 3 beds right here. This is one of my herbal medicinal beds. I put flowers over here. This is a butterfly bush, a bleeding heart, my echinacea, and I do have 2, one on each side, that are rooted and are coming up. Oh, look. How pretty. Hey, Mr. B. So that is actually digitalis. It is the herbal form of digoxin. And then we have lavender on the end. And I left space in between these plants so I can go ahead and introduce some new herbs and flowers and plants all throughout here. I left this big space down here. I've got plans for it. So anything I want to kind of stick in the middle as is, it gets bigger and flourishes, then I'll figure out kind of how to extend my growing bed there. Now over here beside it, this is temporarily the broccoli bed because I bought 37 plants and I didn't have finished beds. So this is one of the beds that was done, and I have broccoli in this bed. This bed is empty. It's actually going to be one of my squash beds. I'm going to separate my squash up. Look at the whirlwind. Oh my goodness. Wow, look at all the feathers. That's crazy. Okay, back to the garden. So yeah, this is an empty bed, and where some of my squash are going to be, and I'm thinking like, you know, zucchini or yellow squash or something here. This is one of my bigger beds. I believe it's Sarge, excuse me. It's about 3.5 feet wide. This one will be probably about 3 feet, and that one over there is about 3 feet. Now throughout the garden, I'm going to start sticking some pots in here of some of my plants that I want to kind of keep contained. This is actually goldenrod. I don't want to transplant this, but I kind of want to keep it back here with the flowers, and that's because we'll be getting bees pretty soon, probably in the next year or so. And I want to have all my medicine and my flowers and stuff back here because I believe the bees are going to go over there. So as we're walking up here, this is what I call my berry patch. These 4 long beds here is my berry patch. And so what I've got over here are the blackberry plants that we brought with us. So we've got one here, one there, and you see them going down there. Now in between these, I have planted rhubarb. One there, one there. And then I've got some that are a little bit later, and those are coming up. You see it right there. And then I've got one more down here. So those will be coming up, and they'll kind of be shaded underneath the blackberry, but not so much that they won't get sun. Now right next door to them are the raspberry plants, and they are kind of down in these holes because I needed to put the dirt down, but we actually planted the plants first and then put the gin trash down. So I put pots over them to keep the gin trash back, and so we've got raspberries coming up now. So that's why you see those holes down through there. And then I had one lone blackberry plant here that's right here on the end, and there are a couple over here. This one and then that one right there. I'm not sure that they're going to come back, so the blackberry over here may replace one of those. Right next door is, this is actually pine berries. It's those white strawberries. I planted on bare root, and I have not seen anything come up. But I did at the beginning, and then they died back. So if they come up, they come up. If they don't, oh well. Moving on down, you will see right here, this is a red seedless grape. And right next door, about 10 feet down here, I have a white seedless grape. I've only got those 2 grapes here, and I've got plans to extend, or we're going to make more grapes later. But I only wanted to spend my money on 2, one white and one red, and then we'll do more plants later from those plants. So hang tight, I'll show you how to do that. But moving on, next door, this last row right here, it's actually 3 blueberry plants, 1, 2, and 3. And then I have strawberries intermingled in between them. So you got strawberry, 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 blueberry, strawberry, strawberry, strawberry. And so the point being that the blueberries will get a little bit bigger and help kind of shade the strawberries in the summertime. And also the strawberries are going to kind of fill out, and they're going to act as a weed barrier underneath the blueberries. And as you see, we've got some blooms coming on already. And then down here, we have some more. We may not get any to eat this year or to preserve a whole lot of, but we will have some. And here's the last of the strawberries. So these next, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 empty beds right here. These are going to be planned for my summer crops, which are going to be corn and okra and green beans. I'm fixing to plant all that stuff by seed. I just haven't gotten a chance to do that as of yet. This bed right here was one of the ones that I made whenever we done the other 3 over here. And so these are the rest of my broccoli plants that I bought that frankly I just had to stick somewhere because I didn't have any beds made, and I bought broccoli plants, and so that was that. On the end of the broccoli bed here, I have some Russian kale that we actually planted in a barrel up at the house. And I decided to go ahead and transplant it out here to fill up the rest of this bed because I didn't have anything there. And I kind of wanted to keep it seasonal because once this bed comes out, then I'll be able to put maybe either something quick for the fall, quick for the summer, or I can wait, let it rest and decompose and put something in there for the fall, maybe another round of broccoli or cabbage or something like that. So this is one of my seasonal beds. These other 4 behind it are going, they are going to be summer crops. So next door to those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more beds. Now, you will notice these are 24 feet beds. I don't know what those are over there. Those are probably darn near 24-foot beds in the berry patch. And then the other ones, the other first 3 up there, they're probably about 16 feet or so. But these beds over here are 24 feet long. And that's because those are going to be, like I said, my bigger crops that I'm going to plant: corn, okra, green beans, stuff like that, that I don't have to use a trellis for. Whereas these beds over here, okay, so these beds right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, these are actually 16 feet long because this is where I'm going to put our tomatoes. Now, you'll already notice I've got some planted. These are actually, these 3 right here, I actually planted 5 big beef. And then we ended up having cutworms in the soil that we put down in this gin trash. So this one got ate down, and I took the top of this tomato and planted it up near the house. So I've got this one restarted. This one, the same thing happened, and I stuck the top in the dirt right beside the original plant. Here's the original plant here that was eaten, and so I stuck this in there, but I think somehow it got tops off because all I have now is one limb. And if you know anything about tomatoes, if you top a tomato, it's not going to grow up anymore. So I'm going to pull that up. And from these 3 tomatoes here, I have 6 more suckers off of them that I have rooted. They are up at the house, and that's actually what's going to finish up the rest of this bed. Now, right behind it, I have 2 yellow pear. I have 1 and 2. These are about 4 feet apart. Since I've got room now, I'm not trying to crowd them in here. And these will make a big coverage of area. This will actually go on the trellis as well. So I've got 2 yellow pear. And then down here, I have 2 sun sugars. So these are actually going to be, it's 1 and 2. These are sun sugar, like cherry tomatoes. Right behind it, I have Tammy G's. Those are grape tomatoes. I've got 1 and 2. These 2 are going to be on a trellis as well. And I did have 1 and 2 more sun sugars down there. The one on the end died, so that's fine. I can go. I've got other tomatoes I'm going to put down there. So this is the 3rd sun sugar. So I've got 3 grape cherry tomatoes here that we're going to be trellising. And then I'll just, like I said, replace this with some more tomatoes. Now, on this row, I have Romas. I've got 1, 2, and 3 Romas. I'm sorry, 4. I've got 4 Romas, and these are from Emma's school. They had a big plant sale. So I got 4 Roma tomato plants. And I want to show you guys something. Something is coming through here and eating off the ends of my stems, my limbs right here. See, it just kind of comes up and just poof, just gone. And that's what happened to that one as well. You can see it, just the ends of the limbs. So I'm going to come out here and put something on it because I'm scared I've got cutworms in this part of the gin trash as well. Down here I have 3 Cherokee tomatoes. That's a Cherokee purple, that's a Cherokee purple, and that's a Cherokee purple. And so these it's hard to train these to do the 1-stalk method. I do the 1-stalk method for my big beef and for my bigger slicers. Cherokee purples are hard to do that for because they have so many vines and limbs and suckers and everything that come out so fast and so sporadically. It's hard to keep them down to 1 stem. So I did spread them out a little bit further than I am my slicers up there. These get about 3 feet a piece, and these will be trellised, but they'll have more room to kind of spread out on the trellis. Now this back row back here is empty at the moment. I have some early girls and some more big beef and jalapeno peppers that are going to go in this bed. So right next door is going to be 4 beds here. I don't exactly know how long these are, but I spaced these out to where what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant down the center. These are going to be tromboncinos, cucumbers, and something else. Oh, my Mexican sour gherkins, the little cucamelons. That's what's going to go in these beds. And how these are going to work is I'm going to plant down the center, and I'm going to trellis from center to center. So I'll have my walking path down the middle. Now, if you'll notice, That's the only green spot I have in my bed, because I actually went back and sprayed, because it's taking so long to get my wood chips down for my walking paths that the grass was taking over like exponentially. So I went ahead and I sprayed my walking path so we can go ahead and take our time to do our own wood chips, call around, see if we can get another load of wood chips or anything like that. So we're having to take our time and do that. And it seems I did not spray this. So that's what everything else would look like if I hadn't sprayed. But as you see, everything else is dead, and that's the way I want it, because I don't want the grass to take over quicker than I can get down wood chips. So yes, that is the only green spot in my garden as of yet. But back to the beds. These 4 beds are going to be trellis. So that way, whenever we are walking down these beds, so imagine planting here, planting here. Hi, Red. And then as you look up, it's going to be a trellis. And so we are going to be walking under all kinds of fruit just hanging up here as we walk down through our beds. So I would be under a trellis right now, just walking right along. So that is the 4 beds over here. Now back behind me here, this is our very first bed that we made. Red, I'm trying to talk. And this is our original compost that we brought with us. It was the big black pile that was back here that I made the videos for. You've seen for the soil, for the weed barrier, for the mulch. This is the original bed that I made that from. So in this bed, I ordered some onions since I can't start my own starts this year because of room and time. I ordered three bundles of the Texas sweet onions from Dixondale, and in those bunches are supposed to be 50 to 75 onions. So I got my 3 bunches in, and these 2 beds, because you see I've got a walk path in between them, these 2 beds right here ended up being 300 onions. So out of the 3 bunches that was supposed to be around 50 to 75 onions each, I ended up getting twice as many. So I ended up having 300 onions right here. They are looking super good. We got them mulched with the pine needles. I've been fertilizing them, keeping them watered. And then right behind them, this right here, this row, if you can see, right here is some garlic that is store-bought that I stuck in a barrel up by the house, and they all come up. And so I transplanted them out here just to give them room to grow instead of being in a barrel. And they have been doing great. I have no clue what variety this is or anything. It's just store-bought in the blue pack in the produce section. So that's what these are. And then right behind them, after I opened up these 300 onions and I laid them all out, there was a ton of little bitty babies that was left over. And I thought to myself, what am I going to do with all these tiny babies? I've paid for them, they're seeds, they want to grow. So what I did was I took all the little extras, you know, that nobody really wants to plant, nobody wants to deal with because they're the slackers. So what I did was I bunched them all up and I stuck them in a pint jar and put them in a little bit of water. I waited about 3 weeks or so until they got big, or as big as the ones that I got in the mail. And then I brought them out here and went ahead and planted them. So right behind the garlic is 3 more rows, which is probably another, I think there's 25 per row. So there's another 50 or 60 onions here that anybody else would have just thrown away. But those are right there, all planted, and they're just a little bit behind these, but that's okay. These can, be pulled up small, or they can just be, left in the ground and watched. But, as long as they don't rot, they'll be good. So right here is a little interesting experiment that I did. So I had some potatoes that were store-bought. They were I don't remember what variety, but the yellow flesh potatoes. I want to say something similar to like the butterballs, maybe something like that. But I had some that were sprouting. So what I did is I went outside and I had a barrel up behind the house right where I had the garlic planted. I had another one. and it was full of the dirt that we had brought with us, or the compost that we brought with us. And so I stuck them in there, and they were sprouting. And so I went ahead, and some of y'all might have seen my Instagram post where I was cheating my potatoes. That was these right here on this side. And so they sprouted, and I moved them out here. Well, while they were in the barrel, frost made them die back one time, and they never really recovered. But these three right here are the ones that were frostbitten, and the tops died back, and then they actually went ahead and were they put back out. And so I dug up all the potato chips that I put in there and brought them out here, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these 9 spots right here are taken up by store-bought sprouted potatoes. Now you see these 2 are good, that one's good, there's a couple there, some there. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that didn't come up. This one's still kind of struggling. I don't think he's gonna make it. If y'all can see that one, little bitty. I don't think he's gonna make it. But in a different note, these over here are Yukon Gold seed potatoes that I purchased from like Tractor Supply. I chitted them, which means, you know, you cut them, leaving 2 or 3 eyes per potato and letting them scab over. I let mine sit for about a week, and then I planted them. So you see the difference. This is store-bought potatoes, and those are seed potatoes. There's no technical difference in the potatoes, other than those were not treated because they were going to be seed potatoes, and these were more than likely treated not to sprout because they were store-bought eaten potatoes. I don't know if that was the purpose or the difference in them sprouting or not, but you see, here is my little experiment on store-bought versus actual seed potatoes. Now with these seed potatoes, I do actually need to come back out here. I've got some compost mounded up right there. And that's all that's left out of what we brought with us. So I need to come over here and start piling them up and building up my mounds, because we just planted these flat and it's low enough to where I can just build up dirt around them and then mound them up. So in the design of my garden, it's actually around my chicken pen. So you come out and it's all the way around on all 3 sides of our chickens. So as we are out here harvesting and doing whatever we need to do, we can just throw it over into the chickens and let the chickens have a garden snack. Okay, so now we're at the last spot, and can y'all see that? All right, this is our good old center block beds. Now this is my kitchen herbs. We've got oregano, sage, thyme, another oregano. There's some rosemary in the middle. All of this right here is my kitchen herbs. Now that being said, in this gin trash that we got, it is composting down every minute of every day, and it is really hot. So some of the plants are struggling a little bit, but that's okay. They'll make it through it, and it'll just make them bigger and better for it. Now I didn't make these the same size because I wanted a little bit of the artistic element in here. So I do have one, this one right here is 2 blocks high, and that one is just 1 block high. Over here is the lavender. I've got lavender, pineapple, sage, lemon balm, and peppermint. And I did have a hummingbird mint over there, but it seemed to have kind of died. It was actually a volunteer plant that was in some of the soil that we brought with us. I happened to see it, and I dug it up and I transplanted it over here, and it didn't like it very much. So yes, this is going to be my mint bed, and this is going to be my kitchen herb bed. So guys, what do you think? It was a lot of work. It was definitely a lot of work. Over the last 2 months, with the weather and the temperatures and our busy schedules and all that stuff, we managed to get this much done. So at least I can plant in the beds now. And you may be asking yourself, well, if it's, if it's still composting, if it's still, doing its thing underneath there, because it's actually really black underneath there. If you pull that white back, it is really black and really hot in there. How in the world am I planting straight into it? Well, from what we have left back there and tons of buckets that I have of our compost we brought with us that is around, it's over a year old. It's probably almost 2 years old. It has composted down and we just brought it with us. So I'm using that as a planting base for the roots. I'm doing a good potting size, like a 4-inch to 6-inch pot. I'm doing about that much compost in the areas that I'm planting. I'm putting the plants directly in it. I'm putting seeds directly in it. And then that way, as they grow, they kind of adapt to the surroundings of the composted or composting gin trash. And they kind of, you know, just adapt to it. And so far, everything is done good. It's kind of shocked a couple of plants. The tomatoes are doing good. I did them exact same way. Everything that I'm going to be planting by seed, I'm actually going to put that much dirt in a hole and then just put the seed in the little section that I'm planting it in. And so you'll be seeing how everything's doing as my garden is composting itself. I talked about that a little bit in my compost video that we did. So go back and check out the series. You will see everything that we did around here. We did the weed barrier. We did the soil addition. We did the mulching addition. I talked about the wood chips. All of that stuff is in here and you see it working in action right here in the garden. And we're going to watch it as it matures and as it ages throughout this season and into next year's season as well. So, welcome to my garden. I hope you enjoyed it. I've got tons of ideas coming. I will show you, we've got gates. We have a gate here, and this being so big, right here in the corner by the chicken pen, that's the beginning of our 4-foot fence, because we have 6-foot fence around the chickens and we have a 4-foot fence around the gate. This fence is only meant to keep these pesky cows out that my neighbors keep letting out. They keep finding my yard. So this fence is only here to protect against the cows. It's not intended to keep like rabbits and stuff like that out. If I have a problem, I will take care of that. But this is just intended to keep the cows out. But like I said, right there and over there in the back corner by my flowering herbs, that's the corners where the 4-foot fence start. We are not securing them, but we are attaching them with a D-ring at the top and a D-ring at the bottom. So I can just come and unhook the D-ring on the top, lay it back, go in or out, or undo the bottom, and we could just lay that whole 5-foot section down and come in and out without having to purchase or put in additional gates. This gate right here, it is right outside the house, entering into the garden. So I did want one here just as a visual point and an easy access point for me to get into the garden on this side. And then over here you see we put in a 6-foot gate. We did that because we did have a gap and we kind of placed that in the center in a particular spot because we ended up buying 1, 2, 3. We got 4 rolls of 50 foot. And we knew we were going to be just a little bit short. So we planned putting an access point here for wheelbarrows, for you know, any kind of bigger, because we don't have a tractor, anything bigger that we need to get in or out of there, maybe back the trailer up to it and unload there as an access point for future, you know, unloadings for wood chips or compost or whatever. So we put that there, and it's actually in the center. It's actually in the center of the garden. And one thing I want to do is I want to get some kind of wood piece and put up there and name my garden. So if you have any ideas, leave them down below. What should we name the garden? I've got a few ideas, but I'm not really honed in on one 100%. So here is the raised row garden that I put in with an additional couple of center block beds. And it's ready to use. It's complete and ready to use. Now, one more area I've got to show you that's not in the garden, but I want to show it to you because it is food. All right, so there's the center of the the garden. So as we're walking over here, most of you guys know there is a big open spot here. This is our house. This is our neighbor's house. And there's this spot right here all the way from the garden to the road. So what we decided to put here, since it is a drainage spot, you see there's a drain spot there, there's a drain spot there, and it runs downhill all the way down there. So we decided to put fruit trees here. And we have 3 fruit trees. We have 3 fruit trees right here. These are peach trees. These are yellow peaches that I got from my dad. These 3 are apples. In no particular order, it's Gala, and I know Red Delicious is in the middle, and Fuji. I believe it's that way. I think it's Gala, Red Delicious, and Fuji. We have those 3 eating apples because my dad has a ton of tart baking apples, and I did not want those. But you will see we've got 3 more flags right here. 1, 2, 3. These will be pear trees. Now I have some pear trees that are growing from seed that my mom gave me. They're actually up at the house. They're in a pot. They're only about 6 inches tall. So I'm waiting on them to get big enough. We will put those out here. If they end up not producing, we'll tear them out and get some pear trees or something later. My dad wasn't sure if they were actually going to produce since they were a seed from one of his trees. I don't know, something about sometimes maybe the seeds from the fruit don't actually produce. But I do have another way that I can get some of his pear trees from him and it not actually be from seed. Like I said, that kind of goes along with the grapes. I will cover that in another video because we're still working on how to exactly do that. Still researching it, still figuring it out. But I am working on bringing you like a free plant video for the Homesteading for Free series. So anyways, here's my garden, and I thank you for stopping by. If you wanted to see how we built it from beginning to end, check out the last video. It's already been posted. Check it out. It's kind of a time lapse for the last 2 months where we have been kind of MIA working on this. You haven't seen us a whole lot in the garden, and that's why, because we were actually working in the garden to get it built and show you guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed. Stick around to see what comes out of this garden. I'm going to bring you lots of yummy recipes over the summer. Thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below of what you think we should name it. Be creative, be fun. Go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Stick around for more ideas, recipes, and fun. Thanks, guys. God bless. Bye-bye.